Beast Quest Sepron Chapter 8. Tom struck out energetically. He was swimming in an eerie, silent world where everything seemed to move more slowly. The water was dappled by sunlight breaking through from the surface. Silver bubbles of air streamed away from him. As he plunged deeper, the only sound he heard was the rushing in his ears. The sunlight faded and panic gripped him as he faced the dark depths. He would never be able to hold his breath for long enough. He would drown. He wanted to turn around and swim back to the light, and then he forced himself to be calm. He couldn't turn back now. This was his quest. No one else could help the fisherman and free the kingdom of Avantia from the threat of Sepron. He plunged deeper still with strong, sure strokes, and then he spotted a golden light. It was Sepron's chain. Tom swam toward it and followed it down. It led through waving fronds of seaweed which glided gently aside as Tom pushed through them. Shoals of electric blue fish darted past Tom's face as he pulled himself deeper into the sea. The fish quickly swam out of sight as if they knew what was about to happen. Further below, coral rose from the seabed. Lying among the coral was Sepron. Tom jumped and almost took a huge gulp of water. Sepron's head and the collar with the padlock were closest to him. The sea serpent's enormous body stretched away into the darkness. As Tom swam closer, the huge head swung around. The beast's jaws gaped open, revealing vicious rows of teeth. Tom cried out in fear, even though he was underwater, and watched precious bubbles of air float to the surface. Sepron surged up through the water, heading straight for Tom. Terrified, Tom turned back, arms and legs pumping. He swam up to the light. The last of his air bubbled away. His lungs were hurting as he fought not to swallow water. A bright spot on the surface showed Tom where to aim for. He glanced back, sure that Sepron's mighty jaws would snap shut on his legs at any moment, but to his relief, he saw the sea monster give up the chase and sink back into the gloomy depths. A moment later, Tom's head and shoulders broke the surface. He trod water, desperately gulping in air. Sunlight dazzled him. When he could see properly, he spotted the boat close by, with Eleanor still holding up his shield. He had never been so glad to see anything in his life. "Tom, are you all right?" she shouted. "Yes, fine," Tom panted, though he didn't really feel fine. He was exhausted, but he already knew he was going to have to dive down again. He dragged his limbs through the water to Eleanor and the boat. Could he really do it once more? "I have to," he muttered to himself as he swam. "Did you find Sepron?" Eleanor asked. Tom tried to ignore the bitter pang of disappointment as he admitted that he had failed. "I found him." But Tom was still gasping for air. "I couldn't get close. Got to try again." "Don't take in too much air," Eleanor called, "and try to move slowly so you don't waste it." Tom nodded, grateful for Eleanor's advice. He trod water until he could breathe easily again, and then he took a last gulp of air, but not too much. Waving to Eleanor, he plunged beneath the surface. This time he found the chain more quickly and followed it down to the coral reef. Sepron was still lying there, his coils wrapped loosely about a spire of coral. Cautiously, Tom swam closer, keeping behind a wall of rocks until he could approach Sepron from behind. He slid through the water, desperate not to disturb the serpent. When he was close enough, he darted forward and grasped the glowing collar with one hand. Straight away the serpent lashed its head back and forth, trying to shake him off. Tom clung grimly to the collar and worked his way around until he found the lock in the collar under Sepron's jutting jaws. As quickly as he could, Tom took Aduro's key from his pocket. He thrust it into the lock, but when he tried to turn it, the key just stuck. Numb with horror, Tom realized this was a different kind of lock. The key was useless. Sepron's head heaved upwards. Tom lost his grip on the collar and rolled over helplessly in the surging water. One of the serpent's coils grazed his arm and knocked the key out of his hand. It glinted in the glow from the chain and sank toward the ocean floor. Tom watched it despairingly. There was no point in swimming after it. It wouldn't open the lock. "What can I do now?" he thought. "How can I free Sepron without a key?"